In the last class, we have seen what is meant by file, right? What is meant by file? It is a collection of related information we can consider as a file. It is in general contiguous logical address space. Logically, we will be treating that entire file will be placed in the hard disk contiguously. Okay, that is what our assumption. But there is no guarantee that entire file will be stored in the hard disk contiguously. There can be it can be distributed at several places. Okay, that will be taken care by several units that we will be seeing now. And coming to the point here, the data that we can store in a file can be numeric, character, or binary. Binary in the sense, suppose you are having one installation file. Okay, you have downloaded VLC media player what you call software, then you will be having the extension as .exe. What does it mean? It is ready to execute, and what information we will be having inside this one is binary information. Like that, numeric data we can have, our text file if you consider, then character data we may have. So these are the types of data that we can have, and the program also you can store in a file. Next, yeah, these are such kind of files: text file, source file, executable files. Like this you can classify. Next, these are some of the attributes which we have seen. Name we will be having identifier. Name is visible to the end user. Identifier is known to the system only. Next, type, what kind of a file it is. Like .txt means it is text file, .doc means document, .xls means it is Excel file. Like this, we will be having type depending upon the supported type only it could able to recognize. Like as I have mentioned in the last class also, if you don't have PDF, what you call it, Adobe Reader or Foxit Reader, such kind of document reader you don't have, then whatever the .pdf files that you will be having in your system, those all will be visible as unrecognized. Okay, it will not be showing any icon on those kind of files. Whenever you install, then only system could able to understand it, identify it, so it will support such kind of files. So that is about type. Next, location where that particular file is residing in the main in the secondary memory, and the size protection, that means who could able to read, who could able to write and execute these things, and when it was created, when it was modified, all these things will be maintained. All these things will be maintained here as file attributes. Okay. Next, this is the example which we have seen in the last class. This is having .tex. Actually, whether you know it or not, I don't know. .tex, we know already .txt. This is for text file. .tex means it is LaTeX file. Actually, we will be writing like this: LaTeX file. What is the use of LaTeX file is in general, suppose you wanted to develop, you wanted to write a textbook, or you wanted to write one journal paper or conference paper, some research paper, such kind of thing, or one textbook itself, then you may need so many symbols, equations, or tables of diagrams, all these things you may need. Then HTML, you know HTML. HTML is markup language, right? Such kind of markup languages exist, that is LaTeX. Okay, by using LaTeX, you will be writing the document. Then whenever you compile it, whenever you compile this LaTeX file and run, then what will be the output of this LaTeX code is PDF file. This will be the output. Try to understand here. .ex file we will be writing here. Normal text means we will be putting directly, but suppose if you are having a power b, then we will be writing like this: a power then b, and this we will be indicating in dollars. That means this is in math mode. You can observe in any textbook. Okay, in any textbook you can observe, whenever you find a symbol, suppose a book is the thing. Here you are having a book, variable a. This is the text, let us say. This a and this a is different for seeing. You can observe in any textbook. This is this particular a is considered to be part of the text. This is considered to be a symbol. Okay, so you can observe the change. Of course, I cannot differentiate with my hand, but you can observe in any textbook. I hope you understand what I am saying. In order to get this, in order to make this one as a symbol, a mathematical symbol, we will be enclosing this one in the dollar in this. Okay, whenever you put a dollar in, whenever you enclose text in dollar, automatically it will be considered to be a symbol. So here it will appear in one way. If you write directly a, and it will appear in other way. Okay, it will be normal text, it will be special symbol, such kind of thing. So .tex is the extension. Whenever we compile, what will be the output? PDF. Okay. Okay. Next, these are the example attributes that we are having. Yeah. Next, for file, we can perform these as the operations. Like we can create a file, we can write file, read file, reposition within a file, delete, truncate, and we have differentiated what is meant by delete, what is meant by truncate as well with respect to. Of course, it is truncate is same as whatever the database truncate. Delete is nothing but drop table. That means entire file will be deleted. Whereas a truncate means a file will be remained, but data will be removed. Okay, that is a truncate. Next, open a file in the sense it will be opening the file from the directory structure. Next, close means it will what you call open in the sense it will bring the file to the main memory so that we could able to perform some operations, either read operation, write operation, or execute operation. Some operation we could able to perform whenever we open the file. Next, we have brought, let us say, now we have called close means whatever the modification we have made that we have to update in the hard disk. This is the hard disk. Like this, this open and close we have seen. Yeah. Next, we have seen about locks, shared lock, exclusive lock. Shared lock means more than one process we could able to can acquire shared lock on one particular file. That is, whenever we are reading a file, then more than one process could able to read at a time. So shared lock can be applicable in that context. But exclusive lock in the sense whenever one process wants to write, then it has to acquire exclusive lock, then only it is allowed to write, and not more than one process can acquire exclusive lock. Okay, if another one wants to acquire exclusive lock, then it will be denied. Okay, these are the types of locks, and we have seen this code as well. Just we will be taking, we will be creating this random access file, then creating a channel, then we are acquiring the exclusive lock by specifying here from starting from 0 to half of the file, we will be obtaining exclusive lock. Then we can perform some modifications, then we can release. How we can release? By calling this one exclusive lock dot release. Similarly, on the next half, we can acquire shared lock, that is n by 2 plus 1 up to end of the list. We will be acquiring shared lock, and we can perform read operation. Whenever we acquire shared lock, then we can perform read operation. Afterwards, we can release the lock. Okay, this we have seen. Next, these are some of the types which we have seen, like executable file, object file, source code, batch file. I have given some example related to batch file. Next, text file, txt, doc is for Microsoft Word. I think you might be knowing. Next, word processor, tex will be there. RTF is a rich text format. Whenever you open WordPad, there is one Notepad, you know, I think Notepad, WordPad will be there by default. This we need not install. With Windows itself, we will be getting these two. But this Word we have to install as a third-party software. Yeah, WordPad. Whenever you write, then that will be having the extension as a .rtf, rich text format. What is the difference between .txt and rich text format is in txt, if you observe whatever, suppose if you open Notepad and if you type, just a second, yeah, if you type what you call a text, entire text, even if you type 100 lines or 1000 lines, entire text will be in the same format. Only one format is allowed in Notepad, whereas in Word, if you write 10 lines, first line you can make it as heading, you can align as center, next line you can make it as italic, next line you can make it as underline. Like this, individual stylings are allowed in Word. Okay, in Notepad that is not allowed. Only what you call one type of file. You can change the font, you can change the font size. All these things are allowed, but the entire document will be updated. That you can observe. Whereas in Word, you can customize it up to one letter, or one word or one sentence itself. You can give one style. Okay, but in Notepad, such kind of thing does not exist. In WordPad, we will be having intermediate what you call facilities. Like in Word, so many facilities will be there. You can insert one picture into it. You can make a table. Inside table also, in one particular cell you can keep picture. All those things are allowed in Word. In WordPad, some limitations will be there. Okay, it is not that much what you call versatile as Word. Okay, but individual formatting is allowed in RTF. Okay, next, a file structure. In this one, we have seen sequential access file, where we have to start from the beginning in order to read any block. Suppose we wanted to read this one, then we have to start from here, then only we could able to read. Okay, we cannot continue what you call, we cannot access directly this particular one. Whenever we wanted to read this one, then as we are having current position here, we can go in this way. Understand? Sequentially only we have to access. That is sequential access file. Another one is direct access file, as the name itself indicating, whenever we wanted to access a certain block, then directly we could able to access. Okay, that is direct access file. Sequential access file means we could able to perform read next, write next. That means in the next what you call block, we could able to perform read operation or write operation depending upon the requirement. But whereas in direct access file, we could able to go to certain position and then we can perform read operation, write operation. So this is the difference. Next, this is the equivalent implementation. Like direct access, what we need to give, n value we have to give. For sequential access, we need not give anything, but we need to start from the 0. That's why equivalent implementation contains CP equal to 0, current pointer we can say current position or current pointer. Now read CP, that means it will be 0 only. Now read next, then we will be incrementing, then we can perform write operation, we can increment it again, or read operation, we can increment it again. Like this, we can implement equivalent code. Yeah. Next, other accessing methods, one is indexed, another one is relative. This also we have seen. Indexed in the sense one field will be there, like a key value pair. Indexed in the sense key value pair. By using key, we will be searching value, corresponding value we will try to retrieve. Okay, based upon that, we could able to locate where the required record exists. Okay, that is indexed. Next, relative in the sense we will be having the base address related to this particular base address. From here, how much distance we have to travel, like what is the record number starting from this base address that will be maintained, that is relative. Relative to this base address we will be having, we will be accessing, that is relative file. Next, directory structure. Directory is nothing but collection of files. As you know, directory is nothing but a folder. Next, here we will be having directories to perform these all operations: searching, creating, deleting, listing a directory. That means what are the contents of the directory, like these are the files exist and these are the subdirectories exist. Like this, we will be having listing, that is also allowed. Next, renaming a file, traverse the file system, all these things are the operations performed on directory. And why we need to organize the files into directories? That is the question, right? Why we need to organize? As intuitively you can say, we could able to organize based upon the type of files. Okay, the relevant files together we could able to make, so that locating a file will be easier. So it will give efficiency. Next, naming, that means suppose the entire thing, if you store all files, if you store adjacent to each other, then what will happen? If you give one name to this, we cannot give a same name to other file. But it is requirement that this file should have same name, okay, same name, then only it is meaningful. Then we cannot make it. So we will keep this one in one directory, this one in another directory, then with the same name we can have another file. Okay, that is a naming convention. Two users can have same name for different files. Next, the same file can have several different names. Okay, these also possible whenever we have a directory organization. Next, grouping. Of course, why we need to have this directory structure, that is grouping, logical grouping of files by properties, like all Java programs together in one file, all movies in one file, one directory, all games in one directory. Like this we can organize. Yeah. Next, a single level directory where we will be having only one level. So what is the difficulty here is we cannot have multiple multiple files under this. And one more thing, grouping problem. Suppose we are having multiple files, we wanted to have this one as a group, then we cannot have. Why? Because this entire thing we have to maintain as a single level. So these all will be part of one directory. Okay, we cannot make subdirectories. That is a single level directory. Two level directory means one more level will be there, so that we need to give path here in order to access this particular one. And here searching will be easier compared to earlier one. Why? Because two levels will be there. By going from here to here itself, we could able to avoid 3/4 of the files or directories. That is the advantage. Next, tree structured directories, where we will be having multiple levels, not only one or two levels, we will be having multiple levels. At the end we will be having files. Okay, within this also, suppose you consider this particular directory, in this we are having subdirectory and files as well. Of course we can have files as well. Next, in this one also we can have subdirectories and files. Like this we can have tree structured directories. Next, another variant of tree structured is cyclic graph directories, where we can have same file in multiple directories, but it will not form any cycle. Ultimately, what is the intention here is we will be traversing towards the file, okay, but we will not traverse towards the directories. Okay, in reverse we will not be having, so there is no chance of making cycles. So this is acyclic graph directories. Okay, so until this point we have discussed in the last class. Next, now we will be seeing, yeah, are you there, anyone? Yeah, file system implementation we will be seeing now. That means first of all, what is meant by file we have seen, right? What is meant by file? File is nothing but logical storage unit. Here we will be having collection of related information. This is a file. Okay, now how what is file system, in the sense how these files are organized, how these files can be accessed, how these files can be written, how these files can be read. All these things will be taken care by file system. Okay, where this file system resides, it will be on secondary storage, that is on hard disk we will be having file system. Okay, that means if you have installed, I think you might be knowing FAT32, FAT32, NTFS. These are some of the file systems which are well known. I think NTFS you might have heard. FAT also you might have heard. It is like uh, file systems, how actual files, physical files will be maintained, physical files in the sense on the hard disk, whatever the files we have, how those will be maintained based upon this particular technologies. Okay, and now let us see one by one. Here we will be having blocks, as we have discussed. File contains several blocks. Every file will contain logical blocks, we can say logical blocks. Internally those blocks will contain some tracks, sectors, all those things that we have seen already. Okay, each block will contain usually 512 bytes. Okay, whenever we request for one line, then one block we have to refer, that block will contain 512 bytes. Okay, next, for every file there will be a file control block. Okay, what it will contain is information about a file. Okay, this file control block, like as we have seen, I think you might be knowing PCB, process control block, thread control block, you know, right? Thread control block, process control block. Similarly here we are having file control block. What it will contain is information about file. PCB will contain information about process. Here TCB will contain information about threads. Similarly here FCB. Next, device driver, what it will do, I will show you. Next, this file system will be organized into several levels. Okay, what is the use of file system? It is used to access the files, right? Whatever the files we are having in the hard disk, those files we have to access. How we will be accessing and all, for that there are some abstraction levels. Okay, those are maintained as layers, those are organized as layers. I can relate one thing here, just you know, TCP/IP reference model or OSA reference model, right? Here there will be some layers, physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, like this we will be having some layers. Okay, what are these layers actually? Are these layers exist physically to observe, physically to see? It will not be available, but it is like up to some extent we can observe, up to some extent, but physically these are not visible. Just you can consider like this: from source to destination we have to transfer some information, then we will be having layers here and layers here. From here we will be sending a message, then it will traverse through all these layers, then finally it will transform to the destination. This is source, so this is destination via transmission medium, then it will what you call retranslate to original format. Okay, by traversing through all these layers. Okay, this is what our understanding. Now why we need to have these all layers is, these all layers will not exist physically, but in order to say that this particular text will go through so many transformations, in order to avoid what you call complexity, we are organizing that entire mechanism as different layers. Then we are saying this is one layer and it will perform this task, this is one layer and it will perform this task. Like this we will be saying, and finally we will be getting either analog signal or a digital signal. Like that we will get based upon the what you call transmission medium, it will transfer. And after receiving, again those signals will be transferred to what you call interpreted as bits, then bits to frames, frames to packets, packets to fragments, like this, segments, like this. Finally we will be getting original message. Okay, this is what our understand. So these layers are nothing but to avoid complexity and to provide some abstraction. That means suppose you wanted to work on one particular layer, let us say a transport layer, then you need not worry about what will be done in the network layer, just you can optimize here itself. That is the advantage, that abstraction is being provided by using these layers. Similarly, this file system is also will be organized into several layers. Okay, let us see that. These are the layers. See, this is the file system. We are having how many layers? 1 2 3 4 5 6, 6 layers we are having. Of course, you know what is application program, in the sense application programs, in the sense whatever the programs we will write, Those are application programs. In that, we may be writing like, as we have seen earlier also, random access file, then C drive, then so and so path, let us say data folder, then CSC, then C section, like this. Some folder you will be giving at the end, file dot let us say txt. Okay, this is the path that you have given. Then from this application program, this will be the requirement. In this particular file, you wanted to read one line or a specified line. Okay, then that request will be given to logical file system. Okay, that request will be given to logical file system. Then it will perform some translation. Then that will be given to file organization module, and it will perform again translation, and that will be given to basic file system. Again it will do, and it will be given to IO control. Then finally devices. Now what are these all layers, and what is the basic functionality, that we will see. Here IO controller is nothing but it will sit on top of devices. It is like we will be having hard disks. Okay, secondary memory device, secondary storage devices we are having. Now to read these, what we require actually, we need to give what is the cylinder number, what is the track number. Okay, track number or cylinder number you can consider as same. Next, sector number you have to give. Then sector number if you give, then it could able to, we could able to read from the hard disk. Okay, so what this IO controller will do is it will operate this disk by, if I give this kind of thing, then it could able to operate. Okay, to operate this one software is there, that is nothing but a device driver. Try to understand. Here we are having devices, hardware, what you call hard disk drives we are having. These are the devices. Now to operate these devices, we need to give this kind of information. What is the cylinder number? What is the sector number that you wanted to read or write operation? These things we have to give. So to perform this particular operation, we will be having some software kind of thing that is called device driver. Okay, this is part of the IO controller. In the IO controller, we will be having device driver, and in this, by using this device driver, we could able to read particular cylinder, particular sector, or we can write particular cylinder and sector. Okay, or block we can say. Next, basic file system. What this will do is it will give whatever the cylinder sector. It is like user will not give where this particular file exists, right? User will give external path, okay, which is not known to IO controller. IO controller could able to operate if you provide cylinder and sector. By using this device driver, it could able to access that particular one. But who will give cylinder number, sector number? Basic file system will give. Try to understand. Basic file system will provide that cylinder number and sector number. Then what is the input for this basic file system? Input for this basic file system is what you call the number, like block number will be given as the input for this basic file system. By taking the block number, it will convert that to, this is the cylinder number, this is the sector number that you wanted to access, that you need to access, like that it will instruct IO controller, then it could able to access it. Next, coming to the next layer, file organization module. In this particular one, output you know already, output is what? Block number. So what is the input? So what is the input here? Yeah, output of logical file system will be the input for file organization module. Okay, what is the what you call input we will be seeing? So application program will contain this kind of path. From here we will be getting what is the actual block that we wanted to access. Through these two we will be getting block number. from this block number we could able to get cylinder and sector by using basic file system. Then by knowing those two we could able to access hard disk. Okay, this is the thing. Then yeah, let us see one by one. Device drivers, as we have seen, whenever we wanted to read drive 1, cylinder 72, track 2 and sector 10, okay, into memory location 1060, then it could able to perform that kind of operation. That is the functionality of device driver. Next, basic file system, what it will do, it will give the instruction like retrieve block 1 2 3. Okay, this kind of instruction will be given. Then given command, this command will be given to basic file system, then it will translate to device driver. Next, file organization module, that is above the basic file system, understand the files, logical addresses, address and the physical blocks. Logical address will be having, that will be converted to physical block. That is the what you call functionality of file organization module. Okay, translates the logical block number to physical block number. Next, logical file system manages metadata information. Next, we will be having these all layers. Why we are having these all layers? Why we are having these all layers? As we have discussed with OSI, why we are having these layers? To provide some sort of abstraction and to make less complexity at this entire procedure. Like application programmer only needs to give cylinder number and track number, sector number, means it is more difficult. Rather than that, we will be providing some abstraction by using these all layers, and everywhere we will be providing abstraction so that complexity will be reduced. Of course, we have introduced so many translations, so it will affect on performance. It will affect on performance, but what you call complexity wise it is reduced. Okay, abstraction will be provided so that the user could able to feel that flexibility. Yeah, and these are files, some of the file systems. I think you know NTFS, FAT32, FAT, then UFS. These are some of the ext2. This I think you know, when whoever are using Unix or Ubuntu, you might be knowing ext2, ext3 like this. Next, other new file systems are these, some of the emerging file systems. Yeah. Next, file system implementation. That means we will be having some API. What are the what are I can say, like suppose we wanted to develop one kind of a file system, like NTFS is there. I wanted to develop IFS, in the sense ICFI file system. Such kind of a file system we wanted to develop. Then what are the necessary things that we need to incorporate? That we will be seeing. Just I will give one overview on the such kind of requirement. Like file control block FCB will contain these things. File permissions will be there, file dates will be there, when it is created, when it is last accessed, when it is modified. All these things will be part of this file dates. Next, who have created and what are the groups, it is in which group. Next, access control list. Then what is the file size, file data blocks. All these things will be part of file control block. File control block basically will contain details about the file. Okay, this inode, if you have encountered this word called inode is nothing but file control block in Unix. Yeah. Next, we will be seeing one thing like this directory implementation. Yeah, directory implementation, in the sense we will be having a folder. Within this folder we can have several, within this we will be having several blocks. Okay, directory will contain files, and internally files are nothing but blocks kind of logical blocks kind of thing. Now we can implement this directory in two ways. One is linear list, another one is hash table. Linear list, I think you know what is meant by linear list. Linear list is nothing but one node will be there, and to this one we will be having a link. Then again another node will be there. Again we will be having a list to the next node. Like this we will be having a list. This is nothing but linear list. Now we can implement a directory by using this linear list. But what is the disadvantage is, suppose we wanted to search whether this particular we wanted to search for this, then we have to start from here. We have to search this one. If it is not available, by using this link we will go to this one. Again we will search here. If it is not present, then we will go to this one. Like this we have to perform linear search. Whenever we perform linear search, automatically it will take linear time, that is depending proportional to the number of items that we have. Suppose 10,000 elements if we have, maximum 10,000 comparisons we need to perform, so it is more time consuming. Okay, this can be what you call optimized by using B plus tree. Okay, B plus tree also you might be having in data structures course. I don't know whether you are having it or not. B plus tree is nothing but it is a kind of multi-way search tree or M-way search tree. You know already what is meant by binary search tree, where we will be having at most 2 children for any node. So one node, if we have 2 children, we can have at most. That is binary tree. M-way search tree. Here we can search in binary search tree. We can search in 2 ways. Either we can go in left side, that is left subtree we can consider, or right subtree we can consider. Only 2 ways we can go. Whereas M-way search tree or multi-way search tree is nothing but we can go in multiple ways. Like we will be having more than one key in one particular node. Whereas in binary search tree we will be having only one key. One key in, suppose 15 we have, the key is less than this 15 means we have to go, we can go in this particular direction. If it is greater than this, then we can go in this direction. But here we will be having more than one key. Let us say 5 we are having, 10 we are having, 15, 20. Then we will be having accordingly the links as well. So if the key is less than 5, then we can go in this direction. Greater than 5 and less than 10, then we can go in this. Greater than 10 and less than 15. Greater than 15 and less than 20, greater than 20, we can go. So how many directions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many keys we are having? 4 keys. If we have 5 directions, we can go. N keys, if we have n plus 1 directions, we will be having. So M-way search tree means how many keys we can have? M minus 1 keys we can have in one particular node. Like this, we can implement this directory structure by using B plus tree. Basically, B plus tree will be used to implement directories in database. Okay, in database we will be having a huge amount of data. That data will be organized by using B plus trees. Okay, next hash table. I think this is nothing but earlier, as we have seen, key value pair we will be having. Whenever we give key, then it could able to give value. Okay, but to get this particular key, what we will do is a key we will be applying, we will be giving to hash function. That this is mathematical formula. Hash function is nothing but some mathematical formula. It can be division, it can be modulus, it can be subtraction, addition, any operation we can perform. So what it will give? Finally one key. Okay, one index will be given. Sorry, key will be the input and index will be the output. By using this index, we could able to get the value. Okay, if you go to that particular index, then we could able to get the value. This is a hash table implementation. But what is the problem is, suppose if I give key 1, then it is giving index 1. Next, key 2 if you give, then also it may give index 1 itself. Based upon the formula only it will give. So for the 2 inputs, it may give same result, that is index 1, then such kind of situation we call it as collision. Okay, more than one key is resulting to same index, then we can say it as collision. Then we need to perform some collision resolution techniques like linear probing, quadratic probing, and what you call separate chaining, these kind of techniques will be there. By using that, we will try to minimize the number of collisions. Okay, those are collision resolution techniques. Next, allocation methods. This is the last topic for today, ma. Try to understand. This is an important topic as well. Allocation methods. That means we are having one file. Let us say one file. In this file, we will be having several blocks. As we have discussed, a file will consist of several blocks. So where these are and those need not be present contiguously in the disk. Try to understand, file will contain several blocks. This is one block, this is another block, like this we will be having several blocks. Suppose 5 blocks we are having. These all blocks need not be contiguous, need not be present at the same place. Okay, it can be distributed as well. So how we could able to allocate these blocks? That is the objective now. The question is, we will be having several blocks, or we can say we are having a large file. This file we have to store it in a hard disk. Large file we are having. Then there is no requirement that entire file present at the same place. It can be placed at several places. So logically what we will do is, we will be dividing this file as different blocks, and these blocks will be present in the hard disk. These all blocks will be present in the hard disk. Now where we will be allocating the space for these blocks, how we will allocate the space for these blocks, that is nothing but the objective of allocation methods. And we are having several, basically 3 types of allocation methods. One of those is contiguous. Contiguous, the name itself indicating contiguous, in the sense continuous blocks, continuously we will be allocating the blocks. Okay, let us try to see the example, then you can understand more easily. See here, we are having the files like count is the file, tr is the file, mail is the file, list is the file. Like this we are having several files, and as the name itself indicating that contiguous allocation, all these are allocated contiguously. So now let us consider count. Count is having 2 blocks. Okay, count is having 2 blocks starting from 0, and tr is having 14 blocks starting from 3. Mail is having 19 it is having 6 blocks. Mail is having 6 blocks starting from 19. tr is having 3 blocks starting from 14. Next, list is having 4 blocks starting from 28. Like this we have given information. Now you can observe in the diagram how these all will be stored. Like list, you consider what is the length here? Length here 4, and from where it is starting? 28. So starting from 28, 4. These 4 will be part of list. Next, consider tr. How many blocks? What is the starting point? 14. So starting from 14, 3 blocks. Length is 3. So 3 blocks will be allocated for tr. Similarly, count is starting at 0. How many blocks? 2 blocks. So these 2 will be allocated for count. So if you observe, every time whatever the file that we are allocating, all those blocks will be continuously allocated, continuously given. So this is nothing but contiguous allocation. But immediately you may get doubt that if there is no space available continuously. For example, another file is there. Let us say new file. New file is the name, and it needs to have 7 blocks. Okay, 7 blocks. Now we have to give starting point. Try to understand. 7 is the length. That means 7 blocks we are having. Where we can allocate? In this particular situation, 7 blocks. How many free blocks are there? How many free blocks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 blocks are there. 15 free blocks are there. How many we want? Only 7 blocks. So can we allocate starting from 2? Yes, please respond, ma. Can we allocate this new file which is having the requirement as a 7? Can we allocate starting from 2? How many blocks are there contiguously? Only 4. So we cannot allocate here. Next, coming here 8. Starting from 8, can we allocate 7 blocks? No. Why? Because free blocks are only here 6 contiguously. Here we cannot. Here also we cannot. Now what we can conclude? Although we are having 15 free blocks, we could not able to allocate for this new file which is having the requirement as 7 blocks. This is nothing but external fragmentation, which we have seen earlier with respect to main memory partitioning. Now it is secondary memory partitioning. Here also we have divided into different blocks, but contiguously we need to allocate, but we don't have contiguous blocks of length 7, so we cannot allocate, although we are having the free blocks as 15. This is nothing but external fragmentation. Again, to avoid this external fragmentation, what is the solution for external fragmentation? Yes, anyone? What is the solution for external fragmentation? Yes, please respond, ma. What is the solution for external fragmentation? Rohan? External fragmentation is resulting because all we are having free blocks, but not continuously. So how we can make these all blocks continuously is if you displace these 2 to 2 and 3, these 6 and 7, instead of allocating here, if you bring these to 2 and 3, then we will be getting continuously 7, isn't it? Definitely. So we could able to accommodate that new file as well. So this is nothing but compaction. Compaction is the mechanism. What is that? Bringing all the free space at one place. That is nothing but compaction, but it is time consuming, so it is costlier. So this is the contiguous allocation. Next, second one is linked allocation. Okay, linked allocation. That means we will be having starting block. Okay, this is the starting point. Let us say file 1 is having the starting block. Okay, so starting block, and from in the hard disk, I can show you the diagram directly. Yeah, here you see this is the file name, and it is starting at 9 and it is ending at 25. Now you can observe 9. We are having the link from this 9th block. Okay, from to where we are having a link to 16. That means next block is 16. And what is the next for 16? 1. What is the next for 1? It is 2. What is the next for 2? It is -1, which will indicate end of the block. Okay, this is the last block that we are having. Next for this 25 is -1. That means it is null, and this is the last block for this particular file. Like this, wherever the free block can be, we could able to utilize. But what is the additional requirement? We need to keep the pointer to that particular block from the previous block. Like starting from 9, we are going to this particular block. Then we are going to this block. Then we are it is 16 actually. We are going to this block. Then we are going to this block, and from here we are having -1. That means we need not go to any vertical. This is the last block in this particular file. Like that, we can use linked allocation. I hope you understand what is meant by linked allocation. Yes. Here there is no external fragmentation. This problem can be avoided, and no compaction required. If there is no external fragmentation, then automatically compaction need not be performed. So this is linked allocation. Then finally last allocation is indexed allocation. Here you can observe for one particular file, we will be having several blocks. This is what our understanding, right? For one particular file, we will be having several blocks. What are those all blocks? Those all block numbers we will be maintaining in one file. And this particular one file, in the sense one block, we will be storing that information only. Try to understand. We will be let us say one file 1 is having 4 blocks. Okay, then in addition to 4 blocks, we will be maintaining another block called index block. What we will be having in this index block is where we are having this file, this first block, where we are having this second block, where we are having third block. This entire information will be residing in the indexed block. Okay, index block. This is the additional thing. So that in the file, what we need is just what is the address of this index file. In this index file, we will be having addresses of these all. So that is the advantage that we can observe here. This is the example file. This is the file name, and index block is residing in 19. In this index block, what we are having, what are all the blocks that we are having, where we are having those all blocks, that is present in this 9, 16. All these blocks we are having in the index file, so we could able to access one after the another. And what is the advantage here is directly, randomly, we could able to access this particular file. Suppose we wanted to access 9, then we wanted to access, let us say 10, then we will be having corresponding link here in this index file itself, so we could able to reach the block in less time. Random accessing is possible. Understand? So what we have seen, this file allocation methods. File allocation method, one is contiguous. Contiguous, what is the problem? External fragmentation. What is the solution? Compaction, but it is costlier. Next, linked allocation, where we will be having for every block, what is the next block, like that link will be maintained. At the end, we will be having null. Whenever we reach null, then we can understand that file is a file, that block itself is the last block in the file. Next, last one is indexed allocation, where we will be maintaining separate block to maintain all the what you call pointers to different blocks. This will identify as a indexed block. Okay, this is index block, where we will be having information about all the blocks of the file. These are the 3 file allocation methods. I hope you understand this. Yes? Yeah, like this we could able to implement a file system. Okay, in the next class we will be seeing protection, and